Well, that's not actually true.
It's actually not true.
A lot of people think that.
That's a common myth. You know, I've heard that.
Okay, that one actually is true.
And this is Should Have Asked the Tour Guide. Episode 2 of Should Have Asked the Tour Guide.
Should have asked the tour guide.
Haven't seen you in a week.
Hey, top things to do, DC. I heard that DC was designed to confuse invaders. Is that true?
This is my favorite. People coming up and saying, especially if they're trying to correct me, that the reason DC is so confusing to get around is because the layout of the city was designed to confuse invaders. Which I find fault in for many reasons. I don't think it's confusing. It's a grid.
It is.
And we were invaded 14 years after the city was founded.
Yeah,
So that
that
would have been a
clearly didn't work
horrible thing if that's what we were trying to do.
So that is, of course, as we know, false. But before we jump into all the reasons why, just as Cannon mentioned, the city was designed, it was laid out by a man named Pierre Charles L'Enfant using a grid system that's overlaid with long sweeping diagonal avenues. So the avenues help to cut up the city, creates lots of roundabouts, circles, park squares, which is why I think this misconception exists.
Yeah.
Because it's not the same sort of grid as you might see in a city like New York.
That's true. That is true. So stop with the honking. So there is no law in DC that says you cannot honk your horn. That is New York City. Nobody listens to that law there anyway. I call him Peter L'Enfant, only because
He wanted to be an
that's
American.
what he called himself.
He changed his name. He was a Frenchman, changed his name to acclimate better to America.
So if you've ever taken either of our tours and you're hearing different names, it's okay. Same person.
Peter means Pierre.
So he just trying to be, I like to call people what they call themselves. He wanted squares.
Yes.
For them to be kind of like unofficial embassies. It's like the representative from North Carolina. Every time it changed, the new representative would come to that same house on that square, and that's where you could go to get sweet tea and grits and listen to whatever Appalachian bluegrass music that you wanted to. And I don't think that happened whatsoever. But I like that idea.
That is a good
It would have
idea.
been nice if it had happened.
Serve in Connecticut.
I like the idea of ambassadors from different states
Yeah.
hosting in DC.
Because then it's
Something that
kind of like
makes us
Passport DC, but for states.
Yes.
International guests can come here and try everything without having to drive through Kansas.
Yeah.
No offense to Kansas.
No.
Car hinge.
You're gonna lose us the Kansas audience right
Yeah.
there.
That's true.
Kansas vote's gone.
All right, so it's not confusing.
It is, but
It can be confusing.
Okay.
I thought about teaching people.
So, okay, confusing, not confusing. We will agree to disagree on that.
I think maybe not confusing, but the streets definitely were not designed to manage the level of traffic
That's
that
fair.
we have.
But they weren't designed
To throw off invaders,
No,
to
no,
coerce
that's ridiculous.
foreign invasions.
So if you guys have any future myths, misconceptions, questions about Washington, D.C. or American history in general, comment below, let us know, tag us on social media, at Top Things to Do DC, hashtag should have